Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined as always by Chris the Technician on this July 24th, 2017 summer afternoon. Chris, big weekend in bodybuilding. The NPC Teen, Collegiate, and Masters Nationals taking place in Pittsburgh, PA, the home of the NPC. And what a huge show it was. Over 1,000 people, over 4 days long the show was. It's funny because I was helping people, and like from Monday I was already getting people telling me, oh yeah, I'm here, I'm at Pittsburgh already. I'm like, what are you doing in Pittsburgh already? They're like, I'm on stage on Thursday.
Well, you know what, Dave, talk about me being a bag of contradictions. I said, I don't even want to cover it on the radio show. And then I click on the NPC News to look at pictures, and I see Masters over 70, and I'm like, oh, God, how ridiculous. And I look at the guys. One.
Do you know who?
Not only do they look good, you guys you have to interview one of these guys, the winner, because in 1967, when he was a teenager, 66, I mean, who was winning the Olympia? And this guy was probably training. He looks really good.
You want to know the funny thing about it?
Which you already am on?
No. Well, I'm friends with the guy. No, but you know him. Art Gutierrez.
That's Art Gutierrez?
Yes. That's Art Gutierrez. You got confused with the Arthur name, but that's Art Gutierrez. Tell us your Art Gutierrez story.
Art Gutierrez. Holy shit. Art Gutierrez worked for like Cybex or like... Yep. And when I used to work at the bodybuilding camps... Okay, so I have to get a calculator. 50 minus 19. 32 years ago, Art would have been 70 minus 32 he would have been 38. Yeah. And Art Gutierrez always he was a corporate guy, but he always had a great physique. I could see right in a t-shirt. I never saw him once in a tank top. I never saw him training in the gym. But at the bodybuilding camp, his role was to come up, and they were sponsoring the camp, and they were providing equipment free in exchange for, publicity, print publicity in those days. Mm-hmm. And he was in his 30s. Art, holy smokes.
Art, the funny thing is, I didn't really know, I knew of Art Gutierrez. I didn't know Art Gutierrez. I met Art Gutierrez when he was like in his late 50s, and he's like, I want to make a run at the Masters Nationals. It's when I turned 60. I'm like, you could do it. You look pretty good. And I met with him a few times, and we talked, and we would always talk on the phone, and he's a very polite guy, and you can tell why he's a good sales guy because people just like him. And and so I hadn't really seen. I know he competed a couple times, but then I saw the results and I looked. I said, "Holy mackerel! He won the 70 and over. It's been over 10 years already." And he didn't give up. But that's pretty amazing, right? Story. I mean, everyone knew Art in the industry. I mean, he was very well known and liked. He just networked with everyone. It seemed.
Dude, the Masters, the over 60 one is off the hook.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it funny? I remember when it first started,
it was kind of jokish.
Well,
right?
My friend Charlie Arms did the 60 and over. He was like one of the first guys doing it when they first started it, and he blew everyone away because he was so much better. There was no one. Everyone else looked horrendous. Nowadays, I'm like, holy mackerel! They got like weight classes in the 60 and in the 60 and over. They got middleweight, they got lightweight, they got heavyweight, light heavy. They got a full array of 60
these are the teenagers. These are the teenagers. So we said, where's teenage bodybuilding? These are the guys that have been training that long. Listen. Dave, the lightweight winner. Isn't this sad? You know what's sad? The lightweight winner, Dan Orlando. This guy is 60. And, I mean, if this is not a walk-in billboard for the benefits of bodybuilding, makes me want to train Dan.
Well, he has another one. He has another one for you. Look who won the heavyweight class. Let me see if you know who he is. Don Smith.
Hold on, wait a minute. Let me go. You mean
the 60 and over?
Yeah,
Masters
50?
heavyweight, 60 and over.
Dave, the website is like so many classes.
Yeah,
I need a bigger screen. Well, Don Smith is the clothing guy.
Yeah, the California Crazy Wear. I had two times on the TV show recently, and him and Gary Stridham started California Crazy Wear. He almost got his pro card. And remember, Don was out of the industry when Gary was
he's in the over what, Dave? 50, because I don't see
60 Masters heavyweight winner.
Over 60. Welterweight, over 60, Don Smith. I used to see him hanging out. God, these people, they look the exact same in the face.
Yeah, because you were in California when Don was out there.
Yeah. Wait a minute, he's got on the wrong trunks.
I know. I was wondering what that was. Maybe he thought he was going to do classic physique. I don't know. But I don't know why he has those long trunks on. I was trying to figure that out myself. I got to call him up and ask him what the hell was going on with that. He still won, though. That tells you how good he was. Maybe he figured, you know what, there's no classic masters. I'm just going to do my own classic. I guess there's really no rules on trunks. You could wear big trunks if you want. I mean,
maybe those were the ones that he used to wear in 1967.
He probably was. Well, I think Arnold gave him that pair. But,
Don, Don, I used to see Don in California. It had to be 30 years ago. All these people. It's crazy that they still look.
Here's a good story with Don Smith because, and we're going to talk about the teen winner in a minute. The kid I helped, Giovanni DelBiondo, who won the teen national overall title. Giovanni likes to walk around in these kooky Hawaiian shirts, and I don't know why. That's like his thing. He wears Hawaiian shirts everywhere. He looks like he's ready to go out to a beer party or something like that. And so Don saw him backstage after he won, and he was wearing that Hawaiian shirt. And he's like, holy mackerel. He goes, that's fucking cool. He goes, I'm going to make you a California Crazy Wear, a Hawaiian shirt that says NPC Teen National Overall Champ with your name on it. I said, Don will probably make 1,000 of those things and sell them out in 10 minutes if you wear them, I said. Because that was the old business model of California Crazy Wear, to make those insane looking clown pants that no one in their right mind would wear, but everyone wore.
Yeah, it's bizarre, right?
Isn't that crazy?
I love it. I can't believe these two guys. So
that's what's good about this Masters and the teen in the same venue, because it's like you got the old generation with the new generation in the same show. It's just like really super cool. I used to really enjoy watching the teen national show. I kind of missed it not being there because of that. But yeah, I mean, the 50 and over, Chris, was so competitive. If you look, I mean, there's like 25 guys in the class. I mean, I was
Masters over 50.
Over 50. There's like. It's unbelievable how many people are in these shows nowadays. And I know a lot of these guys. I don't know if you saw it in the Masters Super Heavyweight 50 and over. Steve Henneberry. How about that name?
Okay, wait a minute. Masters. I'm a master when I can't even find with my site. Masters over 50. What is it, Dave? Super
Heavyweights.
What was his name? Steve Henneberry.
You remember Steve Henneberry? Let me see if you figure out what that name is.
Yeah.
He was fourth. He was on American Gladiators.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. I do. He
used to have blonde hair, I think. He wasn't he a Grushkin guy? Didn't he do some like NABBA shows?
No. I know all the Grushkin guys. I get called Doug Wentz. Doug will tell you he's not a Grushkin guy. This team that you helped, Bob would probably have him pull not a Cody. He'd probably win the Arnold Classic next year. He put on. Bob would be embarrassed. Bob, he put on 42 pounds or 41 pounds in 1 year. Well, it's 36. But
who's counting?
He was going through puberty when he won the teens. He said shit like that before. How did he gain so much muscle? He was still going. He was still maturing. What's that mean? He was still going through puberty when he won the. I sent you that Victor Terra picture, right? John Hansen sent me that.
Yeah, that was.
We talked last week about teen bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, he was good. He was good.
So what I want to know what what's the
Steve Henneberry played
for the teen. Go ahead. You need a nickname
Steve
for the
Henneberry.
Teenage kid.
Yeah. We got to definitely come up with Steve Henneberry played Tower on American Gladiators. That was his name on there. He was in a couple of movie, TV like this type stuff too. I'm looking.
He's got that movie.
Yeah.
Good looks.
I know Weeder had him in a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah. Now I know him from the video. Yeah. He was one of the first American Gladiators, right?
He was on an episode of Married with Children. He did a lot of commercials. I guess he's you never get that bodybuilding out of your blood though, because I guess he had to give that up kind of for all the TV stuff he was doing. So now he's trying to make the Lou Ferrigno comeback. Remember, Louis gave up bodybuilding essentially for the Hulk, and then he made that comeback at 38 years old. So I take my hat off to these guys. Really, I really do, because it's unbelievable. That these guys still have, the wherewithal. And look, I'm sitting here in a sling with a shoulder replacement. 2 weeks out of the shoulder replacement, and my quad that I've had repaired 4 times is obliterated again. I don't know, just slowly just tearing away, and I'm going to need to get that done. I need my right shoulder done still, and these guys are on stage looking like unbelievable, So it's funny how there's definitely got to be a genetic component, Chris, to bodybuilding and how your body responds later in life. Because some guys are great, and some guys, fall apart. And I can't imagine it's just from the fact that I lifted really heavy and I was a big guy. I think it's just my body just, because look at my dad. My dad is crippled with arthritis. I'm sure it has to be. I'm blaming him. I'm not blaming myself on this one. So let's get back to this. I'm intrigued by this Masters Nationals thing.
Look at what was I on the pre-show just saying? Do we have to cover this? And I looked at the pictures and said, "Holy shit!" I know it's exciting. How discriminatory? Because I thought I was going to see my father, and your father up there posing trucks.
No, these guys are good. These guys are really good. It's a testament to the fact that people just won't give up. The problem is that there really should be like they have on golf the senior tour. There should really be a Masters tour. I don't know. The problem is that there's no sponsorship for that type of thing, but there really should be a Masters tour, because we have so many Masters competitors, who turn pro at these shows, that there's really a lot of them have, some of them can successfully cross over, but a lot of them have no place to go,
Where's your boy Giovanni from?
He's originally, I think, from New York, but his father grew up with me, or knew me growing up, back in the day. And his father's a bodybuilder, obviously. And then they moved to Virginia. So he's from Virginia. I told you last week or 2 weeks ago, he drove up and he did that NPC Summer Classic in White Plains, and he won the teen overall and the master and the open overall. So I knew he was, I knew he had some good potential here. And this was not a weak teen nationals either. So he did, he earned that win pretty good. He's, and the funny thing is he's like 6'3". He's not a short kid. He's a really tall kid. I mean, and you wouldn't think of it, because he's got pretty good balance to his body, Yeah. And he's got work to do, for to move up to that open class. He's not going to be like a Cody who's going to jump in next year and win the USA because of his height, but his conditioning was stellar, He has that killer mindset. He gets into the whole, social media thing, and he's got a lot of good energy, and I think that's impressive. And he gets it. He gets that it's a journey. He knows that it's not just one show, and now he's going to be a superstar. He's got to work now. Now he's got to really get down to work, and that's what I think. Well, that's what
if we send him over to Kuwait, he'd win the Olympia by next year.
Yeah. Speaking of Kuwait, I interviewed Mohammed Abaraju. No, it hasn't gone up on the site yet. It'll be up this week. He's doing the USA. Mo Abaraju has got a terrific story. You probably don't even know the story. I didn't know the whole story. He won the teen national. He lost the overall to Cody the last year that Cody Montgomery won it. He was the light heavyweight champ. And then the following year he came in and did it, and he won the teen nationals. And then last year he did the USA a la Cody Montgomery. He probably should have won. He was fifth in the light heavies. And this year he's coming in and he looks tremendous. He's only 21 years old still. And this kid, he came from Jordan originally with his parents. He didn't speak a word of English. And he had been bodybuilding since he was like 12, because his dad was into bodybuilding. And his dad was a big bodybuilder in Jordan. And I guess, they didn't have a lot of money over here. It was tough making a living. And they were eating like 2 meals a day. And, they were eating like poverty meals. And it was, and there was like 6 people living in one room. And he used to sneak into the gym. That's
what year was this? What year?
Probably 5 years ago. Probably. He's like 21. So he was 21. He was like 15 or 16 when this was going on. Yeah. But he loved bodybuilding, and he did it like Yeah, he just said, like, you don't need to eat like 6 times a day. I was growing even on 2 meals a day. You know, he was eating like eggs in the morning, and like at night they were eating like some other little like
another Bob Gruskin.
They split a whole chicken from the family.
Meals,
yeah. So just great genetics, and just he didn't know what he was doing diet wise, but he just looked good. He was winning teen overalls, you know, at different shows, and then he did the teen nationals, and like I said, he won his class, and it's a great story. And his parents at 16 went back to Jordan, and he stayed here. He was working as like a parking lot attendant. He was working packing groceries in a supermarket, and he was giving his parents some of the money. Even he wasn't even using it all for so he never used a protein supplement at all. He just wanted to pay his rent. They just wanted to pay the rent and have a meal to eat twice a day. Mm-hmm. It's a heartfelt story. It's terrific. He met his girl. The girl he's married to now, I think, when he was 16, and she had a son that he wound up adopting, and they just had another kid, a la Cody Montgomery. They have I think a 15-month-old. The kid's 21 years old,
That's
know.
Crazy.
But now, what happened was his parents went back, and he started, once he got out of high school, he started, and he learned English. He started training people at the gym. Yeah. So he started making some money for himself, and it's a great story. You guys got to listen to that. That just. I love these teen stories where these kids just work their ass off and make it, because it's a feel good story, and that's what this teen nationals really is all about. It's a breeding ground, and when you look back and you see some of the people that did the show, you're like, oh man, look, I know that kid. That kid was third at teen nationals. Now he's like winning pro shows. Yeah. So it's not always the people that win that are the most successful ones,
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Because how much as a teenager can you refine? You know what I mean? I mean, if you're just
don't have much time, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't have much time, and how much training knowledge can you gain when when you're 18 years old?
Well, think about this. Giovanni, he's 6'3". What 6'3" teen is able to put enough size on to really have a structurally, sound, balanced physique to win a show like this? That is in and of itself might be the greatest victory of any teen national winner, because no one is that high. Usually these guys are shorter, that win the teen nationals. Yeah. Like Jason Ha.
He reminds me a little bit of Gerard Dente.
Yeah, he looks like him a little bit. You're right. I see the resemblance. Absolutely. The light heavyweight kid was pretty good too. Zachary Atkin, who beat another guy I helped in that show, Mo Chewicki, who I thought that was a pretty good battle in that light heavyweight class. And those two guys were probably the second and third best guys in the teen show. So, look, congratulations to Giovanni. And like I said, he's ready. He was yesterday. He was like, "When am I going to call you so we can go over the next step?" I said, well, "Why don't you enjoy the weekend?" I said, "We'll talk Monday." I said, "Enjoy yourself." I said, the win doesn't last very long, so you might as well have a weekend out of it. And he's like, all right, I'm ready to go back to work. I said, well, that's good. You want to do that? I know Jerry Scalisi had a kid who I think took third in one of these classes too, who was pretty good. One of the teens. Jerry loves training the teens.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, because he can shape them and.
Oh yeah, he loves getting these. You know what it is? Because Jerry's different. Like I like doing diets and stuff like that. Jerry likes just training in the gym.
In the gym, sure.
He likes taking them to the gym and beating the piss out of them in there.
Yeah.
Did you look at the 40 and over? How good they were? These guys?
Dave. You know what? No, I'm gonna look now. But if the 50 and 60 and 70 look damn good,
it's pretty crazy. This Yamil Cabral guy is tiny waist, great arms.
Over 40. What class are you looking at?
He won the supers, and I think he won the overall too.
Yeah, I think he was pretty good. As I think I know the name from when he was competing. He's in really good shape. Front lat spread, he's in shape.
What I always noticed at the teen nationals,
he's in great shape.
Excuse me, at the Masters Nationals, is the guys that are the best condition usually win. I don't know. I've just noticed that over the years. The guys that have the best conditioning, obviously you have to have muscle on your body too, tend to win because it's close, and everyone's got a little something wrong with them because it is a Masters event. It's not an Open. So these guys have a little injury here, a little maybe torn muscle there, but when all's said and done, I thought the 40 and over was really good. The 35 and over, they never had a men's 35 and over until a couple of years ago. Teddy Gray, who won that, I mean, he could he could certainly do pro shows. I mean, he's got
35 and over. Let me look him up.
I knew Teddy before he did the show. I mean, I knew of him, and he's got a good physique. Just really nice muscle flow. He's got the Ronnie Coleman glutes.
35 and over. What class, Dave?
I think he's probably.
Oh yeah, I see. Over the heavyweight. Yeah.
I mean, this guy, he could be 35 for all I know. He's still young by bodybuilding standards. It's almost not fair to have a 35 and over in Masters because it's really not Masters, at
Yeah.
Especially when you're seeing 60-year-olds look.
I was going to say, you know what?
They probably should raise the Masters to 45 and over.
He looks phenomenal.
Yeah, he's got a good physique. He'll do well.
Look at he's got the little bit of Kai greenness in the outer quad.
Yeah, but he's got definitely the Ronnie. You see the Ronnie glutes?
I guess you're going to win shows if you get Ronnie glutes and Kai out ahead of the quad.
Now, not to glance over because all these guys, but we can't spend the whole time talking about every single class. But the collegiate nationals were pretty good too. Usually the collegiates are not that deadly, but they didn't have a lot of people in it. But I saw that Andy Hammond's son was in the collegiate nationals.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Sam Hammond. I remember when he was like a little kid coming to all the shows. Matter of fact, if you remember, he did a Bros vs. Pros. He came with his dad once, and they did some kind of a little posing act. It was almost like a sideshow. Now he's actually a legitimate bodybuilder. So,
what class was he in?
I'm looking.
I don't see the list.
I saw it on his Facebook. He was like saying that he won his class, but I don't see it for some reason. I'm not seeing it on the. Oh, maybe he did classic physique. I think he did class. Did they have a classic?
Now, so I'd want to check his grades. He's collegiate, but he's part time and he's flunking 2 courses.
Oh my god. I think it's collegiate.
The show is over. We're taping on Sunday. Is the show technically over, or is
I don't know.
Unit still running through the?
I was getting texts from people at like 11 o'clock at night. It was still going.
I think you know what I want to. I think I want to do. I think I'm gonna, as a real estate person, I'm gonna start finding out where the NPC shows are, because they now get like 60,000 competitors. I'm gonna try to go to hotels and set up deals, right? Set up deals where the competitors can get the cheapest rate, and I can get $5 a room times 500 rooms. How much do you make?
Someone sent me a clip to give to you. I haven't forwarded it to you yet. It's the Airbnb guy, and he was like explaining how
I told you he was a bodybuilder, right?
Yeah, he was explaining how he decided he was going to go to California, and he had $1,000 in his pocket. That was all his savings, and he loaded up his like Honda Civic or something like that. I was going to drive across country, and his friend said the rent out here, if you want to live with me, it's going to be like you're going to have to pay $1,100. He's like, I don't have rent. I don't have any rent. He goes, and the weekend he was driving there was like it was like convention town, and there was not a hotel that you can rent there. And he's like, what? He goes, what are we going to do? And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, well, he goes, you got any air mattresses? He's like, I got 3 air mattresses. He's like, well, what if we set up the air mattresses and we rent out their mattresses in your house for this weekend, this convention weekend, because people can't get hotels, and that's where Airbnb came from.
That's right. His name is Brian Chesky.
Unbelievable.
And he's competed, I think, in the NPC. Get Mannion. Find out from Mannion's NPC cards if you seriously, Dave. He was a bodybuilder. I'm pretty sure. Look, he did the 2001 NPC Teen and Collegiate Nationals.
He did?
Yes, he did the NPC Teen and Collegiate Nationals.
That's what we're talking about now. See, full circle. There was actually relevance to that story.
Talk about, it's not karma, but what's it called?
It's just coincidence. Meaningful coincidence.
So, you know what? If he's listening to the show, it's surprising how many people listen, Dave.
Yeah.
And I just came up with this cockamamie idea of like, I'm going to call the hotels next time Gary Udit puts on a show, or Jim Mannion or Steve Weinberger. You know what? Brian Chesky, who's already competed in the NPC.
That hotel that they use for the Masters Nationals, where they actually hold it in there, the what is it called? I haven't been there so long now. I'm forgetting the name of it. But it's a great hotel, but it's super expensive. But you stay in it anyway because everything's right there. You don't have to leave the hotel. They got the food there. Gary they set that thing up amazing, and the hotel loves them because they bring so much business in there. But there's some hotels around the corner, really. But everyone wants to stay in that hotel because let's face it, if you're doing a show, there's nothing better than coming down the elevator and you're at the show.
Yeah, true.
If they could only add like 10 more levels onto that hotel, but they would probably sell that out too.
Who won the team nationals that year that Brian Airbnb Chesky competed? 2001. Who won the 2001 team nationals?
That's a good question. I think that I don't know.
Let's see. Who was that? Was the year? That was the year Jay was second.
I think that was Brian Hoyting's friend. I'm trying to think. I think I know who it is.
Can you Google it or something?
How did that kid place? Did he say? Does it say in his biography?
It didn't say.
Probably was like last. I could find this out. Hold on, let me see. With my one arm, I'm a terrible. I'm terrible on the internet.
You got to get him on the radio show. Dave. You got to get the Airbnb guy on the radio show.
Yeah, I mean, you would think maybe he might do it. It would be great. I mean, I'd have to let you interview him because you probably know way more about all that stuff than I do.
Oh, I just asked him on his cycle when he was a teenager and what his parents thought. I'm kidding.
He'd be like, I trained with a guy, I can't remember his name. He's a little Jewish man out of out of the Bronx. Bob, you trained Chesky? Oh, yeah. I told him to become a businessman. He said he didn't have too much talent for that. Right? Bob pushed him out of bodybuilding. He's like, yeah, I told him. He said, you're a nice guy.
Listen, I used to rent. I know this girl. She used to rent from me, and she used to have an Airbnb in her apartment. Like when it was like she'd rent out a room.
Really?
I'm like, what that? I'd never heard. It had to be. It was years ago when it first started. I'm like, what the hell is Airbnb? And she gave me the website, and I went on, and like, I can go on now and look at like 400 listings in like nearby Portland, and then there were like 7, and one of them was hers.
Wow.
Because I had to tell. I said, you can't just have strangers coming into.
I personally wouldn't want to let anyone stay in my house that I didn't know, but that's just me. But I guess if you want to make money, it's a good venue. Do it. I mean, would you let people stay in your house, strangers? I mean, if you were there.
I don't even let family come to my house. How's that?
I mean, I know you rent your condos out that you're not in, but you don't want to. You don't want them in your house when you're there.
No.
Definitely not. But look,
2001 Teen Nationals winner was not Brian Chesky.
Brent Smith.
Brent Smith. I don't even know who that is.
He won the light heavyweight class. I don't. That must have been an off year. I don't even remember being there that year. Let's see if I recognize anyone else in the list though of people here.
No future pros in that list?
No, I don't see anyone. What was the guy's name? Brian Chesky?
Chesky. Brian Chesky. CHE, I think it's SKY or ZKY.
I don't even see him in the list.
Maybe he was in the collegiate that year.
Oh. You think so?
Yeah, he probably thinks he's a big shot. He'll never come on this show.
No. He is a big shot. But you know what? I'd love to talk about when people interview me for these podcasts. I've been doing a lot of podcasts like the last few weeks. I love when they ask me about like the past. Now I'm becoming like my dad. I want to talk about it. Like it's like I haven't really even thought about this for a while. So it's something new rather than talking about like Arimidex and testosterone and Trembo.
We just talked. You just revealed off air that two high profile people tried to choke you out. One was not Arnold in the last 10 years. I'm like, really? Because you got a big neck. It's an easy target when someone wants to choke, get mad at you.
I know.
I saw a girl try to. No. In Miami, remember that girl tried to. I think she was going to choke you out.
Oh, the girl I was dating, or not dating, or whatever. Yeah. She grabbed my neck too. She actually cut my neck with her nails.
You had scars on your neck. See.
Yeah. So I must have a very. You're right. It's a big target of attack.
Either that, or they want to puncture the blood flow to your brain because they think you're. They probably think you're smarty pants. Who does he think he is? And they want to.
That's funny.
Physically hurt your intelligence.
Yeah. guess you can have worse body parts that people want to attack, right? At least no one's kicking me in the balls.
Yeah.
I went to visit my dad yesterday with Amanda and Logan, and Logan knows the whole route from the front door of the facility.
Oh, yeah,
he knows how to get the elevator, and so we get up.
Push the elevator button. He go crazy and want to push the elevator button.
Yeah, he does, but he can only reach the alarm button, so it's not good for him. He's always trying to set the alarm off. So we get up there to the floor. And there's like a little area where they, I guess, do like events and like little karaoke, and they must do some art stuff. And on the wall, I see pictures hanging. Actually, I didn't even see it. Amanda saw it, and she goes walking over there, and there's like 3 drawings that my father did. I could completely pick them out. He signed one of them, but one of them he didn't sign, so she thought it was someone else. I'm like, no, that's my dad. I know how he drew. I know his faces that he makes. So he drew this. There's a guy who lives next door to him. He sketched the guy, and it looked just like him. And then he drew one of the women. I guess he drew one of the women on the floor too, which in his classic very sharp nosed. That's his style. So they hung his pictures up. I guess my father's singing karaoke. He's like running the whole place already. Yeah. Everyone knows him there. It's incredible. The guy who doesn't want to come out of his room.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, he can't remember a freaking thing he did. I'm like, Dad, were you drawing people on the floor? He's like, what are you talking about? I said, your pictures are hanging up there. He's like, they are? I said, yeah. He goes, I don't remember. So they call me. I leave. I was with them for like an hour and a half, and they leave. We leave, and I'm back at the house, and I get a call from them. I'm like, oh no. So what happened? They're like, oh, we found your dad sitting outside on the floor outside of his room. I said, what do you mean you sit? Well, he must have fallen. He was walking without his walker. I said, oh, my God. I said, is he hurt? They're like, no, just his pride. So that's good.
Even worse when you're, right?
Yeah. I think my father forgets that he has any kind of, disabilities, and he just, takes off.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's another problem with Alzheimer's or dementia is there's a lack of awareness of your limitations because you forget your limitations. Yeah. Which I guess is good to have when you're young, too.
I don't know.
To some degree.
Yeah.
To some degree, yeah.
I'm very aware of my limitations right now, unfortunately. I'm reminded of them constantly.
At this day and age, it's nice to know that there are limits. I don't necessarily buy into the idea of no limits. I don't think it's a healthy, it's good to know limits.
I used to just randomly...
Every single person besides Phil Heath has limits at this point, if you want to apply it to bodybuilding. Meaning, if there were no limits, other people would be winning.
Sure. It's going for number 7 this year. That's pretty incredible that we've already seen 7 wins by this guy. I remember when he first won. Seems like it was yesterday.
Yeah, it seems like it was yesterday.
Isn't it always weird that the middle wins of these Olympias are never really that memorable? Except maybe Ronnie's like 03, but it's like you forget. You're like, well, what do you look like in? I don't remember what he looked like in 14, 15. But you remember the first couple, and then you remember the last few. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
The middle road becomes, oh yeah, that one year he really didn't deserve to win, but he won anyway. He snuck by. It's hysterical. They gave away so many pro cards, Chris, that I can't even count them all. That's how many they gave away.
The printing press broke.
Yeah. Figure they must have given out about 20 pro cards, at least. I don't think there's more.
You want to know how you used to get a give away a Samir Benoot secret? Speaking of printing press,
I'm waiting for the secret.
No, Samir's friend once gave me, so I don't get myself into trouble. And it had to be. This was eons ago. Gave me a pass to a big show.
Okay.
Also known as the Olympia.
Okay.
Robin Chang. This is before you had the show. So I'm absolved from being in trouble.
Yes. This was a Wayne D'Amelia show.
And I'm like, where did this come from? Somebody had an official pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
They booked it down to Kinko's, which there were not a lot of Kinko's around back in the day. I'm talking way back in the day. I'm talking like 87. And nobody had color copiers. And they copied the Olympia pass. Okay. And then they laminated it. Nobody had a laminating machine,
That's
right?
funny. Yeah.
And voila, I had a pass to get into the Olympia.
That is funny.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, you can do that back in the day. Nowadays, you can't do it. Robin knows every person with a press pass anyway, so you never get by him. All right, I see. I found the collegiate match. Right. Sam Hammond won Class B. There was only one guy in the class. I don't think he beat anyone, but he looked good. He's definitely impressive conditioning wise.
Who's this? The Airbnb guy?
No, this is Andy Hammond's son.
Andy Hammond's son.
Yeah. He won that, but he didn't win the overall. I'm trying to see who won the overall in the collegiate. Anthony Roberto won the overall, the collegiate. Teen was. I'm trying to look at the teen overall in classic. I think this Eric Backrock won the teen overall classic. It's amazing they got more people in the teens. Actually, maybe not. Teen nationals were pretty good. Open. Nothing's going to replace that teen nationals. I don't even think there should be classic in teen division, to be honest with you, because
I mean, if you've already blown out your midsection by the time you're 19,
because the guys in the teen nationals look like classic.
They all look classic.
Yeah, because they're not that big yet. So, who do you think was the biggest, freakiest teen national winner that you can remember?
NPC Teen USA. I said it last week, was Victor Terra when he should have won the overall of the men's.
Right, but that wasn't when it was teen nationals, right? It was
a Teen USA. It was held in California, in San Jose, and he would demolish all of the teens after that.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
He was short though, that was an advantage.
Doesn't matter. I think he was 164. He was 5'4". I think that's enough when you're absolutely peeled out of your mind.
That's true. That is true.
Who else? I mean, who? Are you asking who's the most impressive team winner?
Yeah. The problem is that when they won the teens, they weren't as impressive as they maybe became late. Like Jason Hubb became a freak after that, but he was good, but he wasn't like amazing when he won the teen nationals. He was a classic guy when he won the teen nationals. That's for sure.
True. I mean, it's none of them are like mind-boggling because they're teens. I mean,
Cody might have been the most impressive when he won the third time.
Yeah, I mean, Cody was like good as a teen, but even he was nothing like. I mean, he gained like 24 pounds into the next year. You were still going through puberty, I think, in the third win, Cody.
In the women's bodybuilding, Pauline Nelson won the over 35, the over 40, and over 45. And I think she spent the most money probably on application fees, too, because
How many pro cards she got?
Just one. You know what they do here is if you win your pro card, they go to the next person, but you still win you still win your classes. So that's pretty cool. Kate Baird won the over 50, got her pro card, the women's bodybuilding. They have more women's bodybuilding in the Masters division than they have in the Open division nowadays, in the Pro Open division nowadays.
It's funny, isn't that funny?
Yeah. But we can go over this for forever. But it was a good show. They put Gary and Jim Mannion put a group. This has always been a fun show. I used to like going to it a lot. When I had free time, you got to have a lot of free time if you want to go to the show. Especially now, it's 4 days, and I have a lot of people. I helped a lot of people in these shows, so. For me, it would have been, there's definitely a reason to go to the show. It's just, it's no time, and it's just, I can't give up 4 days. I can't give 1 day up,
Oh, no. Well, wait till the second child comes. You'll be down to, I told you I should start working for Uber now because I'm driving my kids from like basketball camp and then I go pick them up. And then later I take them to track and go and pick them up. And then at nighttime, 2 nights a week, they go to soccer and they go and pick them up. Yeah. So I'm thinking I'm just running around all the time. If I was working for Uber, I could pick a couple people up and pay for the gas.
That's funny. I have to, that's why I have to get everything repaired now. So when it comes time for my kids to start playing all these sports and stuff like that and going, I can do it. I got to be functional. So we had a pro show this week in, California. Always seems to be a pro show every weekend somehow. In Redondo Beach. Oh, the LA Pro Figure. Okay. You remember when Redondo Beach used to be like the place to compete at? Didn't they have those muscle manias there years ago?
They had Redondo Beach. There was that's right. I think it was Redondo Beach. Well, what did they have? Let's see. I think that's where Jay won the. Jay went to a show this weekend, and he texted me and said it was the venue. I think it was Redondo. Yeah, it was Redondo Beach. It was I believe, the venue where he won his first open show. He was 20 years old.
Was the Excalibur then back then?
I don't know. No, it was the God. No one has. Jay will never get Alzheimer's.
No, he knows everything. He remembers everything.
And I said, I do remember the blue sweatsuit.
Were you there?
Yes, I was there. We went out like 2 weeks early or something, or 10 days early.
Probably stayed at Ed's house, right?
No, we stayed at the Marina Dump. That's what Jay calls it, the Marina Pacifica.
Oh, I used to love that hotel. It was a dump, but I loved it because it had the little kitchen in there and everything, and all the bodybuilders ate underneath it, you know?
Yeah.
At the Venice Cafe there.
And I remember the reason I remember the suit is because when he was walking to prejudge it, I said, I had this weird little tremor. I go, maybe he's not even in shape. And I said, no. And then he took his suit off, and like people were like, oh wow, this guy's like going to be the next Mr. Olympia. You know what they say about that about any 20-year-old who's big.
Of course.
You know, that's like the clueless people.
Yeah.
But that's how I remember the suit.
All right, well, hold that thought, Chris. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about this Figure Pro, LA Figure Pro. Stay tuned, guys, and don't go away.
A legendary name in hardcore supplementation. Iron Mag Labs. 100% original, patent pending andro compounds. The most effective, hardcore, groundbreaking bodybuilding supplements in the world. Iron Mag Labs. Revolutionizing hardcore supplementation for more than a decade. Visit ironmaglabs.com. ironmaglabs.com.
Welcome back to Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo talking with Chris, the technician Aceto. And Chris, we had the LA Championships this past weekend, John Lindsay LA Championships, and they had the Pro Figure division here, wherein our good friend Bojana Vasiljevic from Serbia wins that. And she works for Iron Mag Labs and dates Chris Mins, our good friend. And Carolyn Hudson-Harris finishes in the second position in this event, and then third, Devon Martin. So congratulations to those ladies, and Bojana will go into the Olympia. So, it's going to be a good Olympia. There's a lot of people competing in it. I'm going to ask you a controversial question, though, about the Olympia, Chris, because it has to be brought up. I'm sure you've seen some pictures of Flex Wheeler online that he's been posting lately.
I saw one.
Okay. He's doing the Classic Physique Olympia, as we all know. Reigning champion is Danny Hester in that event. That was the first one, was last year. How do you think he's going to do in this event? I know he gets upset when we critique his physique, but I've seen some pictures of him recently, and I know pictures don't tell everything. But to me, he doesn't look like he's ready to. He's definitely lean. He definitely has gotten a physique back. But is this a physique that can win the Olympia?
I will quote Chad Nichols.
Okay.
No, because it's actually, I won't quote Chad Nichols. The issue with when you're over 50, Dave, I've been the only one who said this from day one. I said LeBron's not going to pan out. I was right. I said Wheeler's not going to pan out. I was right. Dexter is an anomaly, and he's continued to train. And Dexter will go down as one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. And if he looks, he may move up to the greatest of all time. Honestly,
well,
he continues this crazy run. Let me finish.
Okay.
The problem is, I don't think as great as Wheeler was, and I don't think as great as LeBron was, that genetically, God-given talent-wise, that they are as good as Michael Jordan. And when Michael Jordan got to a certain age, he just was not as nearly as good as he was just 6 years earlier.
Right.
And yes, he had some time off. So these guys have taken time off. When you take time off, your body gets rusty. I put a car up every winter. My Mercedes, Dave. People laugh at it. I don't drive it in the wintertime. Every spring when I turn that key, something's wrong with it.
It's also, yeah, you're right.
Because it's not used.
Yeah.
And it's been sitting. And you know what they tell me every time I bring it in and scream at them? Well, if it was in Florida, you driving it around all this time, you'd have no issues.
That's right.
And I'm like, so I think when it comes to flex, I think two things. I think that age plays a role. That's a fact. And I think that the unbelievable sensation that we've come to know as Flex Wheeler is only visible when he is big.
Yeah.
I'll give you the example, Dave. Me and Cedric had this discussion. Cedric at the Olympia last year, he was 7th place. I know it's a much different lineup, but at the Arnold, it was a weaker lineup. He was 1st place. The 1st place at the Arnold would destroy the 7th place at the Olympia. The enhanced flow and symmetry comes to at the Arnold is only because he's truly much bigger, much rounder. Mm-hmm. So when you're trying to make a weight class of 210 and you've competed at 229, 230, the crazy V taper is going to be visible at 230, but it's not going to be as pronounced at 210.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I look at the pictures and I just, his arms look, his forearms are very thin. I know he says he hasn't started training them yet, but I don't see a lot of, aside from, like I said, very good conditioning, I don't see a lot of, like you said, it doesn't seem like the flow is as good as when he's bigger. I agree. That was a good analysis because I was having trouble in my mind figuring out why he doesn't look the way he should, but you nailed it right on the head. It's the size. He looks better bigger. It's just a fact, So, but you know what? I saw he has like 40,000 sponsors, right now because everyone's on the Flex Wheel bandwagon, which is great. I think I think he saw what Levrone did. He saw Levrone made a lot of money from this little comeback, from people hiring, from guest posings and appearances and sponsors, and I think Flex is cashing in on it too. And I think it's a great move on his part, especially at this point in his life. How much longer can he make that kind of money and bank it, man? If you can do it and bring your best, and you got nothing to be ashamed of. No one's expecting anything from him.
At the same time, that is what's called that part that I gave you that spiel, Dave, is my unbiased opinion because I have biased opinions too.
Yeah.
Probably because if Flex was like competing here in '98 and I had someone in the show, I'd probably say he looks like shit, and really we've seen the best. I'm just kidding. So that's my unbiased opinion, but my hope is that he looks tremendous.
Well, yeah, we all want to see. I mean, that's if you're a fan of the sport, you want to see this guy come in. I want to see him how he almost won the Olympia, but I know that's not going to happen. But in the back of my head, I want to see it. It's like when you watch. Remember when Jack Nicklaus won that Masters with the Masters in golf when he was like 46 or something like that? It was like probably the greatest athletic achievement at such an advanced age. I mean, I remember watching it. I'm like, this guy could win. Everyone wanted to see him win. I think the guy who
I remember that. What year was that? I saw that, and I don't even follow
in the
golf.
90s. I think the guy who beat him actually was rooting for him too. It's just crazy. It's just nuts. So it's we love to see our heroes do well, and Flex Wheeler was a hero for a lot of upcoming bodybuilders at the time, and so yeah, sure, I want to see him do well. I just we have to report what we see also. So hey, I did a Iron Rage with Romano last week on this Super League that's coming out. The Jay from City Athletic Club is holding. Dorian's the president of this league. It's like it's supposed to be a non-biased. I wouldn't call it a bodybuilding league, but I don't know, you could say physique division, where you do strength moves, kind of like bros versus pros for round 1, and then round 2, the other 50% of your scores, they measure you. They basically just put a tape measure to all your body parts, and if your proportion fits into some kind of formula that they've generated, where Dorian is a perfect 100, then you get scored on that, and then they combine the scores. So there's nothing subjective. In other words, it's just all math, basically, which sounds good in theory. But I basically did this Iron Rage with John, saying it's not really a bodybuilding league. It's not about bodybuilding, because if you're not posing on stage, or you're not being assessed on your conditioning, or how you move and how you flow, then
if they're not judging glutes and hams,
right? Then it's not bodybuilding to me. That's all. And people, 50% of the people agree with me. 50% of people are like completely pissed off and just angry. I'm like, look. It is what it is. It's not bodybuilding. It's not a bodybuilding league. It's CrossFit, basically. It's CrossFit only with guys that are getting assessed, their physique assessed by a tape measure. You're not going to have, the bodybuilders are not going to do good in this league just because they're strong. They're going to do terrible in this league because you're going to get these freaks that can do like crazy amounts of weight, these CrossFit guys, and can do a million repetitions, and no one's going to beat them. It's just the way it works, and so people got all bent out of shape, but I don't care. I put my opinion out there. Everyone doesn't have to agree with everything I say. And, I wish Jay the best of luck because I like him. And I think it's a good idea, but I just don't think you're not going to see a lot of bodybuilders do this league, I guarantee it. Maybe the first year or two, and then when all the guys see, hey, there's money involved, you'll see all those CrossFit guys jump into it. So it might make money, the league. And I just thought it was weird that Dorian Yates would be like the spokesperson for this league, especially since he was a 6-time Mr. Olympia. But I guess, hey, it's a business decision on his part. I guess he's figures maybe there's some money to be made here. I just don't see it. I just don't see any bodybuilders really getting involved. Bodybuilders, look, as bodybuilders, people don't understand this. And you and I can relate to this because we were bodybuilders. We would gladly pay to compete. That's how stupid and sick and demented we are. We're so obsessed with the idea of gaining muscle and being ripped and being acknowledged by our peers and getting up on stage and performing that we would gladly pay money to do it. Would we like to make a living from doing it? Absolutely. But we love it that much that we don't care about the profit potential. That's not why people get into bodybuilding, because it's not a make a lot of money sport. Love it. We just love it, yeah. And
it's like saying getting married. I mean, you get married because you love the person, not because it's a business transaction. I mean, you do something that you like because you like it.
And so no bodybuilder in their right mind is going to switch to a league where they're being measured on a tape measure, and that's how they're being assessed, unless you happen to have just magical proportions. And
yeah, but proportions only show up with an eyeball. If they're not, proportions is in beauty is measured not with tape measures, for God's sake.
Well, that's what they're doing, though.
You got to come into this condo we just revamped. Wait, bring your tape measure. You're going to see how gorgeous it is.
Well,
the bathroom is in perfect proportion to the second half bath, which reflects the.
To me, it's not. I don't see. You're going to get people that don't look that good. You're going to get it's going to be weird. So no bodybuilder in my mind is going to
be like a business. It's going to be like this, Dave. Well, on paper, the business was great, but it went bankrupt in the real world. Exactly. His tape measures measured out perfectly, but he looked like crap. Yeah.
So that's just that's what I was trying to get at. And I think people miss that. If you're a bodybuilder and you love bodybuilding, you will not give up the ability to pose, to display conditioning, size, be creative, be like Cedric on stage, and display yourself in a creative, artistic manner. That's what bodybuilding is about. That's why this league has there's no hope of it ever displacing. It's just offering another option for people. Remember they did that thing, what was it called? The Miss Galaxy competition? I think Mia Finnegan won the first one.
That was a Luzwick deal.
Yeah, they did. It was like a
physique. No, it was there was like an obstacle course.
Yeah, it was an obstacle course, was 50% of your routine, and then the other 50% was how they assessed your physique. And it went on for a couple of years. I think it was pretty popular, and they had Miss Galaxy camps they were holding in Florida where girls would learn to practice the obstacle course and everything like that. It was crazy. I mean, Lou Zwick was a genius. I should get him on the show to talk about his businesses that he started. But that was very popular. And that wasn't, obviously there was still an assessment round, a judging round, so that wasn't completely like what they're trying to do with the Super League. But look, you could make a league. You and I can sit down and figure out some goofy, events too to put together, and we could put our own league together. But the problem is you're not going to make bodybuilding better than it is. It is what it is. It's a sport of narcissism that guys just showing and women showing off what they got. And it never will change. That will always be you might be able to change the rules and some of the judging guidelines, but that's basically what it's about. It's about people that love and are passionate about what they do, and they want to get up there and display it and be acknowledged. And it is what it is. That's just the way it is, and it will always be subjective, and it will always be open to interpretation and controversy. And if you can't take it, then don't be in the sport. That's all there is to it. You can be disgruntled all you want. No one had more controversy surrounding some of their placings probably than me. So, and I still love it. It is what it is. I understand the nature of the sport, and that's why I did it. If I didn't understand the nature of the sport and I didn't accept it, I would have dropped. I would have quit and said "fuck you" and left. I never did that. But so anyway, that's my 2 cents. Did you? I don't know if you heard. O.J. Simpson was paroled, Chris. So
yeah, we talked about that last week.
Well, we said he was potentially.
He did get.
He got parole. 70 years old. He's out. I watched a great. I know you like Netflix. They have a great special on Robert Kardashian. The Kardashians' father that is no longer alive. He was O.J.'s best friend, and he was one of the counsels on the Dream Team. They got him off. You got to watch this thing on Net. It's terrific. It is absolutely terrific. It shows how really these guys were filming outside of O.J.'s house for a documentary they were going to make, and they didn't realize it, but they caught Kardashian actually taking a suitcase that was full of clothing that O.J. had just gotten back with. Because what happened was when O.J. whatever happened with that night, if O.J. killed her or not, he went back to his house, packed the suitcases, and he went to he had to go travel someplace.
To
Chicago. And then he came back, and all the cops were there, and the whole thing about the and one of the suitcases that he actually arrived back with somehow wound up in Robert Kardashian's hands, and he actually brought it to his car. That was the missing suitcase, that they never had with ostensibly the, maybe bloody clothes in there. We don't know why O.J. wouldn't have dumped him in Chicago. I have no idea, but they clearly show him walking off. It's an amazing, and that was the whole premise of the special, how Kardashian may have shaped the O.J. trial.
I thought Kato Caitlin did it.
No. Now here's the interesting thing: Ron Goldman's sister. Because remember, O.J., someone killed Nicole Brown Simpson, and then Ron Goldman was the boyfriend, or some guy that was just there who got killed. Ron Goldman's sister, said that, because they asked her, I said, "What do you think the difference, the verdict would have been different if they had that suitcase, and if there would have been some damning evidence in there?" She's like, "That jury would have never convicted O.J."
What I tell you?
Yeah.
What did I just say? I said no.
She's like, no, it never would have changed the verdict. So. They let O.J.'s, O.J. was an O.J. He was a star. But you got to watch that special. I'm not going to give the whole thing. I'm not going to talk about the whole thing, but it was really well done. There's so many coincidences. There was a guy there was a guy outside of the O.J. trial, the whole trial. He would show up. He had a little high. Remember one of those? I think they were called high 8 cameras. Those film cameras they used to sell. Or
yes.
Super 8s?
Yeah.
Super 8.
Super 8. I'm surprised you didn't get that.
Super 8 cameras. And he would go there every day, and he would film, the lawyers coming in, all the people. Hey, Rob Kardashian, what's up? Hey, so, after, the trial was a year and a half. After, the first 6 months, everyone knew this guy. They would call him, Super 8 Joe or something like that, whatever his name was. And he took so much footage of, all the Kardashian, of Rob Kardashian, of the Marsha Clark, of Shapiro. He had everyone on camera on his little Super 8 thing there. Well, this guy, who was just a little guy that would show up every day, wound up getting into TV productions and reality shows, and he was the guy who was actually produced the Kardashian show. He was involved, real high up on it.
Crazy, right?
So listen to this. So after the Keeping Up with the Kardashians went one season, he's like,
it's like a Sid Limits, but go ahead.
Yeah, he's like, I wanted, I said maybe they want to see the footage of their dad because no one's ever seen this footage. So he talked to the executive producer and he said, look, I got this footage. When I was a kid, I was filming it outside the trial. You think they'd want to see it? So they had to sit down and he actually showed all the footage to Kris Kardashian and Kim and the whole family, and they were, very, very thankful to him. And how full circle. This guy, he was just like a little hang around, became a reality show, guy and film guy, and he actually produced the Kardashian TV show that he was shooting the father. I mean, it's unbelievable. If you're passionate about what you love,
he wasn't a hack, was he? I mean,
yes, he was a hack. He was just a guy who showed up with a camera. He was like a joke there. He just loved film. He said, "I wanted to get people's reactions. I just wanted to, do what you love." They always say, because if you do what you love, you can't fail. And it's the truth. I mean, this guy was a joke, and he became, he's making good money now. He's a high up in the reality show world. And there was no reality TV back then.
That's right. Well, that was reality TV.
He started
OJ every day, right?
Yeah, he started the whole thing. And remember, he never went into the courtroom. He was outside the courtroom day and night, he said, for a year and a half. He was always there trying to film someone.
Reality TV was started with, who's the chain-smoking guy who used to have... I
got even a better one, but you got to let me tell you before I forget.
Go ahead.
So one of the guys he filmed... This kid, the Super 8 guy, one of the people he filmed, they showed footage of him walking away from the camera, saying, hey, what's up, was some guy who was also a no one at the time. He went on to start TMZ, this guy. He was another guy who hung around the trial, and he had him on film, and they're like, you see this guy? And they put an arrow on him. He went on, he's so-and-so, and he started TMZ.
Yeah, because he must have right? He realized the craziness and the attention that people wanted, to...
Yeah, but who thought that something like that could actually, could be successful? But it just... There's so many great ideas people have that fail, but there's those couple that make it, man. You got to keep trying.
Remember MC Hammer was the bat boy. I don't know how that ties up for the Oakland A's.
Was he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a bat boy for the Oakland A's.
Oh, my God. Hammer time.
I was going to say, it was Jerry Springer was kind of like a prelude to reality TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where people could, you could see people's quote,
Springer's like the Boston Lloyd, Rich Piana, fight arguments. They would have been back in Jerry Springer days. They definitely would have gotten Boston and Piana on the show, don't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, my final story of the day is very.
We don't have a quote of the week, by the way, because people ask me about the quote of the week.
I know I haven't done one for a while. Because I'm out quoted. I'm quoting myself lately. They found poop bacteria in the ice at McDonald's and other fast food chains, Chris.
Oh,
I know
this is
a terrible thing. Fecal matter they're finding in the ice in McDonald's, KFC, Burger King in the UK. They're also...
Why is that?
They also found this in Starbucks and cafe. I asked my wife that. I told my wife that. She's like, "Oh, I used to work at." She worked at McDonald's when she was a kid. She's like, "It's the buckets." I said, "What do you mean the buckets?" She's like, "I guess when you go to scoop the ice out of the ice machine, you're scooping it out with a bucket that sits on the floor. So the bacteria, there's obviously bacteria on the floor. This is our theory, at least. And so when you scoop the ice, you put the whole bucket into the ice machine and scoop it out. The bacteria have got to be getting on the ice, and crazy, right?
Yeah, just put a little teaspoon of Clorox in your diet soda. And
you know what? Okay. I intuitively always said hold the ice. I never wanted ice in my drinks because my crazy friend's father, when we were growing up, he's like, "Oh, they try to jip you that way. You get less soda."
Oh, you do get less soda. I always say very little ice. When they give you a giant mega scoop of ice.
Well, and it's interesting because in California, and it's probably in other states too. New York, you pay for every cup of soda you get. In California, it's always free refills, right? If you have a fountain drink.
Well, a lot of places are refills these days. Isn't it in Florida down?
Who knows? I don't go for fountain drinks, but I know for a fact when I went to the Firehouse in California for the very first time, that was the first time I experienced free refills on the iced tea. They're like, you want more? I'm like, how much is it? They're like, it's free refills. I'm like, really?
Oh, bring 8 gallons over.
Yeah. I must have drank 4,000 Diet Cokes at the fire.
What did you use for a sweetener in your diet?
I was never.
You didn't drink iced tea.
No, I was never a diet iced tea person. But I would, But I know the Grushkin thing was sweet and low. But I always hated that. I always used the Equal.
No, Bob would combine sweet and low with Equal.
Oh, that's the. It's
like an anabolic snack.
Yeah, that's the formula in Europe. It's called. They don't call it Diet Coke there. They call it Coke Light, and it's aspartame and saccharin. That's exactly.
You want to know one of Bob's like high carb meals when you have you depleted for like 25 weeks?
Yeah.
He'd take a little bit of pasta,
right, and
he'd mix it in with some type of weird green beans. They were so delicious. They were like little squares. Do you know what those type of are? They're like a square green bean.
Really?
Okay, yeah. Okay, so hold it. So you got to keep the carbs low. So he'd mix a little bit of pasta with all these green beans,
right,
and with like turkey, and then he'd put a little sauce on it, and he'd put a little into the sauce. Dave, he'd put saccharin.
Like a little splash of it. Like this is the Jewish formula, obviously not the Italian formula.
and Mrs. Dash, and it would taste the sweet and low added to the tomato sauce.
Right.
Would enhance the sweetness of the tomato sauce, because even he'd want the carbs low from the tomato sauce.
Right. Well, you'd be starving so much that anything would taste good, but when Bob made it, it was probably delicious. If you or I try to eat it right now, we'd probably throw up. But when you're starved, man.
Italian green beans. That's it. Italian. They're in the freezer section. Italian green beans.
Oh, you buy them frozen? I got you. It's amazing that Bob was able to cook anything in that apartment. It was so small.
Yeah. Well,
does he still live there? I think he does, right?
I think so.
Was that an apartment? Did he own that house?
No, it was a house.
It was a house. Yeah, he owned the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the address. Right off the top of my head.
I lived 2 blocks in there for a year and a half, and I never knew Bob then. The funny thing is that I bet that house that he owns is probably worth a lot of money.
Oh, I'm sure. The Bronx, dude. I mean, what's not?
Now, here's the question, because he was in a very Italian area, too, and it was a nice area. Who will inherit that house if Bob dies?
Jerry Scalise.
You think so? No.
I don't know. But let me tell you this.
Who do you think who's Bob's favorite that he would give it to? Leave it to.
Victor Terror. I don't know.
He'd probably leave it to like some guy that's down on his luck that like he never made it. He'd be like, I feel bad for the guy.
Listen. One of the funniest. Here's a funny Bob Greskin story. We're walking down the street, and there's a yard sale, and he's smoking a cigarette. I'm walking with him, and he's walking, and he's always observing something, which is a great characteristic, to observe what's going on around you. Because I'm oblivious.
Yeah, me too.
And he stops at this yard sale, and there's this toaster oven there, and he opens the face fit and shuts it. Opens the face, shuts it. Looks at the cord. Turns the knobs. And he goes, oh. And I'm like, what? And he says, this is really familiar looking. And he says to the guy who's having the yard sale, did you happen to pick this up out of the trash about 5 years ago?
It was his?
Yes. Bobby put it on the curb to throw it out. And the neighbor snatched it up. And now the neighbor was selling it.
That's so funny. And Bob is so astute to everything that's going on that he actually spotted that it was his toaster.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. We walked.
Bob probably's like, oh, that's from when John Defendis cut his hand on the thing. I see some blood there.
That's why that observation is a reflection of his unbelievable and amazing eye for bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And Bob was. And when it came to bodybuilding, ask any bodybuilder, ask Jerry Scalise, ask the hundreds and hundreds of people been to his house. If Bob ever said to you, you're not tight enough, bodybuilders would say, they want to fight with him, whatever.
Yeah.
And inevitably they'd say, he was right. Even though they might be like thinking, I'm super hard now. Be like, no, you're not tight enough.
Well, how many times we've critique people at shows and said that, and they want to kill us.
Yeah.
People don't like to be critiqued, but Bob was very truthful, and I think that's was one of his virtues, really. And if you didn't listen to him, then he didn't care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye. Move on.
Do what you want. He would say. Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
And he dealt with a lot of mental cases. That's for sure.
Gosh.
I mean, probably half the guys he worked with were certifiably insane. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Or bipolar or whatever other shit that went on. But all right, well, Chris, I'm sure you got stuff to do today. I got stuff to do today, and hopefully everyone is getting ready for this coming weekend's NPC USA Championships. We just might have had the overall winner interviewed this week. Check out the Mo Abaraju interview that I did it'll be on Live With later this week, and it would be amazing, Chris, if Abaraju actually won the USA, because that would be 2 team national winners in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Who went on to become, and it would be another guy at 21 years of age turning pro. I mean, it's almost amazing to see these young guys now coming out of the woodwork. Remember we said, I think it was about 5 years ago, we said we'll never see young guys turning pro anymore. People are going to have to be almost 30 before they turn pro, because it's so hard to look good at such a young age. And man, were we wrong, right?
Yeah, I remember that conversation we had, and now people are, blasting out of the woodwork again.
Yeah. So, and it's good because you know what? These guys will be around for a long time in the sport, which is great because it'll start building up rivalries. Because if you turn pro at 35, how many years you really got to be your best? Maybe 10 if you're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you turn pro at 22 years old, you got 15 good years probably where you're going to be in your prime. I mean, that's a lot. That's Dexter, Flex Wheeler rivalries. That's Ronnie J for rivalries. I mean, so that's going to make the sport exciting. So I'm happy to see these young guys coming out of the woodwork now and turning pro at a young age and making improvements in the Dallas McCarvers and the Justin Comptons and the Cody Montgomerys. And these guys in 5 years are going to be on the Olympia stage battling it out, Chris, and people don't realize that, but it's the case. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot of classic physique guys move up to the open and battle it out with these open guys as well. So there's many ways of entering the pro ranks of the IFBB now, not just through the conventional routes of the past, which is the USA Nationals and North America. Now you can kind of sneak in through the classic physique and the men's physique division and work your way up while you're in there up to the open class. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the future. And we'll be quoting, we'll be saying, remember when we said that? And hopefully we'll still be doing the show. But it's an exciting time in bodybuilding. I think we're entering another little renaissance, a golden age, if you want to call it. And I think it's just the beginning. I think we're at the beginning of when we got to the beginning of the 90s and you started getting some really good superstars coming up. I think we're at that stepping stone now here. And I think as we get into the 2020s, we're going to see some amazing new talent come up again, and we're going to have another golden age. At least that's what I'm predicting, but and hoping for, because I think it's going to really fuel the sport of bodybuilding into the next part of the century. All right, that's my diatribe for the week. I'll look for a quote of the week next week. Hopefully I'll have something more engaging to say. I'm still recovering from my surgery right now, and I got the good bill of health from the doctor. He said that everything looks good. They took an X-ray of my shoulder, Chris, and I was flabbergasted by the hardware that was in there. Not that it was a lot, but it's just like, holy mackerel, I really do have a shoulder replacement. But it's weird. It's just it doesn't look. I thought it was going to be bigger than it is. It's really not as big as I thought it was going to be. So
at what point do you expect that you can just pick Logan up?
I don't know. They say 6 weeks in a sling, and then I'm going to have to start building strength. They said I can't go back to the gym for 3 months, so that's when I assume that I'll be picking Logan up. So
you'll only be you'll be off 3 months. I've been off 20 years. I've been off 120 months. So
yeah, 6 weeks out. 3 months out of the gym is going to be really hard for me. I got to be honest. I have never done that. I'll probably.
I hope you not become a Milos.
I'm going to be skinny like you. I'm going to be.
Well, you might live longer. You just won't realize how old you are because you'll have, like me, lost your mind. But
I'll have more energy, like Donald Trump said.
Yeah, you only have so much. That's right.
I have a lot more to devote to the TV show now. The amazing thing is that it's only been 2 weeks post surgery, and I'm already able to. They got me moving. They had me moving my arm from day one. I have to let it hang, and I swing it like in a pendulum, like just to get movement. They actually had me even doing like a, no weight, just moving my arm into like a bicep curl type position, only like almost like a hammer position. I said I had my bicep tendon reattached because they have to cut the long head of the bicep as well. He's like, nope, it's fine to do that, just no weight. I said, okay. I said, I'll do it. It's crazy. So I'm typing with two hands now, and I'm moving it around. I'm obviously not lifting anything with it, but it's more functional than I thought. But I think we all anticipate the worst, and because it was the unknown. It was the fear of the unknown. I have no problem getting the other shoulder done now that I've seen what this one was all about. Although I haven't gone through the rehab yet, so maybe I should keep my big mouth shut. But it wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was. And if I actually have a good result when it's all said and done, then it was definitely worth it. So anyone out there who's suffering with shoulder pain, I know my friend Justin Miller's got terrible shoulder arthritis, and there's a lot of other people out there that have been John Natty Shack, and people have been texting me. So how does it feel? How does it feel? I said, well, I'm in less pain now than I was before the surgery because the joint pain is gone. Mm-hmm. So my suggestion is go talk to an expert. The guy who did my shoulder is one of the premier experts. There's another guy, Mattson, in Seattle, if you're in the Northwest area, who's like the Arnold Schwarzenegger of shoulders. And, of course, special surgery in New York City is probably, they got some terrific surgeons over there, too. I know Victor Munoz got his shoulder done over there. So there's a lot of options. Just make sure you find someone who's done a lot of shoulders. Don't get someone who does, like, one shoulder a year. That's not the guy you want to do it. You want the guy who's like an assembly line, because that's all my guy does is shoulders. And that he does, like 3 or 4, a day. That's the one I wanted. And that's why I drove all the way to Tampa to do it. And that's all she wrote, Chris. Until next week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.